So I had a sales call yesterday with with a potential client, and the kid was he was a little bit younger. He had just gotten into college. He's a freshman. I think he's about 18. And I was just asking him about life, asking him how things were going, asking how classes were going, and then I asked him what his major was. And whenever he answered what his major was, it made me think about how common his answer was and how similar it was to my answer whenever I was his same age too. He gave me his major and then followed it with a but ... And then so he said, this is my major, but I'm not really sure if that's what I want to do yet, or this is my major, but I don't know if that's what I want to keep doing or whatever. And so I just thought in my mind about how much he's actually going to realize within these next 4 years of his life about how he actually wants to live out the rest of his life. Because I know it can be, and I'm sure whenever he gave me that answer, I'm sure he was kind of like, it kind of makes you kind of nervous whenever you give an answer like that, because that means you don't know what your future entails. And so as a college student, I think a lot of people freak out over picking the exact right major, that way that they can, because essentially the point of college is to be your tool to get you where you want to be in life. So if you want to be a doctor, you go to college, you go to medical school, and then you become a doctor. And so picking whatever major you pick is going to be essentially what dictates the rest of your life in a lot of cases, or at least that's how people perceive college to be, which is super funny because you ask so many people who went to college, they're doing something completely different than whatever major they chose. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I think that it's not as big a deal as many people think about not knowing what they're going to do in the future. So like this big fear of unknown, fear of the unknown, it's essentially an evolutionary trait that has been advantageous over our periods of life, because if you go into the unknown, you could have the possibility of getting eaten by a tiger, or someone stealing your stuff, or something similar to that. Going into the unknown, it's literally the unknown. So there's something bad could end up resulting from that. So whenever people don't know exactly what they want to do in life, especially whenever you're in college, whenever there's so much going on, you're just now becoming an adult, you're thinking differently, you're becoming independent. That's what you have to do whenever you go away to college, is basically becoming independent from your parents and living on your own. And if you don't get your shit together, bad things can happen. And so that independence basically forces you to grow up if you decide to take it seriously. I think that's the key point, is taking it seriously. And a lot of people, they just kind of fuck around in college, which is like, I get it. Like I totally understand how easy it is to do, because you have all your friends. Most other people are thinking the exact same way. It's like, when's the weekend coming? Just trying to go out, party, everything like that. It's super fun, which I get 100%. I partied, I still party, everything like that. Like I understand completely, but I think what most people don't take advantage of is the 4-year period of college to sort themselves out, to take a quote from Jordan Peterson, to sort yourself out. It's just like, college is a 4-year gap that you have to basically, it's essentially a buffer. So you have your high school life, and then you have adulthood right here. College follows in between. And so it's a buffer between whenever you have to become an actual adult and kind of have responsibilities and like do shit and like make something of yourself and make money and have a family if you want, buy a house, whatever. It's the transition into adulthood. And so what a lot of people do is just use it literally just as a time to mess around and not take it that serious. And then whenever those 4 years are up, they're like, oh shit, I should probably think about what I'm actually going to do with my degree and what I'm going to do after all this is over. Like reality kind of sets in, and that's when the necessity of taking control of your life and sorting yourself out really starts to creep in because senior year is here and you don't know what the hell you're going to do after you walk across that stage. And that's totally okay. I'm not saying everybody's supposed to figure out exactly what they're supposed to do by the time they graduate college. I think there's a lot of people in their 30s and 40s who still don't even know what they're supposed to do. But I think not trying. I think not trying in college to at least sit around, and if you ask a lot of people, if you even ask them, like, when's the last time you sat down and thought, like, okay, what exactly am I doing and what benefit is this giving me for the future? So the whole point of each day is supposed to be, what can I do today to make tomorrow a little bit better than what it was? So like it's just like you sacrifice things, and this is all coming from Dr. Jordan Peterson, who's a clinical psychologist, or I don't know if he's a clinical psychologist, but he's a psychologist, professor, and things like that. And he talks about you're supposed to make sacrifices in the present in order to benefit your future self. Like that's what separates us from every other animal and things like that. He talks about in one of his lectures, he talks about whenever lions or something like get food, like they don't sit around and save the food for later. Like they eat as much as they possibly can right at that moment to make sure they get as many nutrients as possible to benefit them for the days to come. They don't portion it out. They don't save some for later like we do. Humans are very good. Well, some humans are very good at making sacrifices today in order to benefit their future selves. And that's essentially, I think that's what the point of college is. And a lot of people don't take advantage of everything that they have in college to benefit their future selves. Like it's just, you have access to like a huge network. You have adults who are already successful and they've already gone through what you've gone through. We have a day and age where the internet is insanely, like it's everything. Like that's life. Like most people spend most of their day on the internet. You can talk to anybody, almost anybody. You can find people that are role models that are doing exactly what you want to do. It's exactly what I've done since I've started college. And I've tried to find people that have the same morals that I have the same values. They're living a similar lifestyle that I can see myself really enjoying and being sustainable. And they're doing things. Another thing from Dr. Peterson was he talked about finding something that was good for you. It was good for you. It was good for those around you, so your friends and family and things like that. And it's also good for society. So figuring out what that is and then having those other benefits around it, that's kind of the goal that you should search for. And I think college is a great time to do it because you don't have as many responsibilities as you do whenever you're outside of college. It's just like you have so much time, you have all these resources, this network, all these people around you. Lots of people have their parents paying for it. Those that are blessed enough to have their parents paying for a lot of things, like that's been the main driver of me. Like I've had all these blessings. Like I would be a fucking idiot not to take advantage of what I have been given in order to make the best possible life that I can possibly make. And just to kind of bring that rant full circle, like don't be afraid of the unknown, because there's not much really that you can do about it. And I think that you've got to take advantage of each day as if you don't know what is going to come tomorrow. And I know it's super cliche to say or whatever, live your life like there's no tomorrow or whatever the hell it is, but it's essentially making sure that you do all that you can today in order to have a better tomorrow. And you don't know what's going to come tomorrow, so you need to prepare the best that you can today. And so that's basically my thoughts on that. And I think basically just don't be afraid to take on responsibility, and don't be afraid to go into the unknown. That's essentially what it is, going into the unknown, going into college, figuring out what you're going to do with your life. Like a lot of people avoid it because it's scary to think about. It's scary to think about what you're going to do for the rest of your life and if that's going to make you happy or not. And so like it's really scary to think about. And instead of thinking about it, a lot of people will do drugs and turn to opioids and things like that, because then you don't have to think. Whenever you're high on something, you don't have to think about your consciousness and all the thoughts and all the negativity and everything like that, all the evils of the world. You don't have to think about it. So I think that that's just an easy cop-out, because it's much harder to take on responsibility of your life and to do things that actually matter and put yourself out there to be judged. Because then you find out what you're really made of. And I think that is just got me all riled up. I think that is just that's what is most important in life. So yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up right there. I hope some of you all got value from this. Subscribe, like, comment, whatever. I don't care if you don't like it. Don't like it. Until next time. Thanks.